There's a little story behind today's show, which is kind of nice. John always says he likes when I tell little stories. So, got a little story for you about today's show. And just hang on for me if you would, because we're coming around. We got to get the other cameras rolling, and then we'll get rocking and rolling here. John's getting it all set up. And now's a good time, too. If you have any health questions, write them down and send them to us through Instagram now. And John will then read them to me at the break. We take 24 minutes, and we take a break, then we another 24 minutes. So welcome, everybody. Glad you could be here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about diabetes. And not just diabetes, but blood sugar. All of us are affected by this minute to minute in our lives. So we're going to talk about blood sugar, the best and worst foods for it, and why it's so important and what it does to your body. So if you're new to the show, I talk for 24 minutes. John, my producer behind the camera, will then read me any health questions that you send to us in that 24 minutes. Then we do another 24-minute segment, and then John will read me the questions again. So any health questions, send it through the app, whatever platform you're on. John will then read those questions, and you'll see how it works. It's very, very easy. So I'm ready to go when you are, John. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. Today, we're going to talk about blood sugar. The title of the show is Diabetes, the Best and Worst Foods, but it's more than just diabetes. All of us are affected by blood sugar every second of every day of our lives. And you have to understand what happens to your body when blood sugar goes up, when blood sugar goes down, why it's so important. So, yes, it's about diabetes, but it's way more than that. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing today's show. Last weekend, a friend of mine came to visit me. His name is Tony, and I've known him for, 40 years now. And he's a type 1 diabetic. And he's an interesting case because he wasn't a diabetic, and he got in a motorcycle accident as a teenager and then became type 1 diabetic. Now, usually type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. The body starts attacking the pancreas and attacks itself. So we're not quite sure why a traumatic issue brought on type 1 diabetes. But he has to monitor his blood sugar every minute of every day. He has an app on his phone, and it beeps if it goes too high or too low, so it kind of warns him, which is great. In the old days, he didn't have that. He'd keep checking it. But, boy, being with him is just crazy because we're sitting around, and he ate some kettle corn popcorn. Blood sugar skyrocketed. He goes, no big deal, I'll take some insulin. Well, the insulin didn't kick in right away. His blood sugar kept going up and up and up, and we're sitting there at dinner, and he just spaced out. Tony, huh? What? Oh, man, blood sugar's 285. That's bad. I got to go for a walk. And he got up, he left the restaurant, walked for about 10 minutes, and just walking will drive sugar into your cells, and his blood sugar started to come down. Then he had some guacamole, came down some more, had some vegetables, came down some more. But it was wild because he spaced out. Now, you may be spacing out too, but not to the point of Tony, because the blood sugar needs to be at that, what we call the Goldilocks zone. Just the right amount in the blood and inside the cells to make it perfect. But diabetes, type 1, type 2, it's a disease of metabolic malfunction, just like heart disease, just like cancer. Poor diet, insulin resistance, diabetes causes the problems. It affects about 38.4 million people, or about 12% of the population. So 12%, 12 out of every 100 people are going to have either type 1 or type 2. Now, type 2 is by far the biggest one. Type 1, we said, is an autoimmune disease. The body is attacking it, and the pancreatic cells, what we call the islets of Langerhans, aren't producing enough insulin. So in type 1, you're not producing enough insulin. In type 2 diabetes, you're producing plenty of insulin, but it's not being able to get the sugar into the cell. So let me explain to you how this whole sugar thing works. You have cells, and they run on glucose. They can run on other things like ketones as well, but glucose is the fuel that the cells like to run on. And so it burns very clean. So what happens is you have type 2 diabetes. The cells become insulin resistant. What does that mean? Insulin is released. I eat sugar. Okay, let's assume I eat a piece of bread, white rice, whatever it is. My brain says, ooh, there's blood sugar going high in the blood. We got to release some insulin from the pancreas. Sits on your left side. And the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin goes out to the cells and acts like a key. It goes into the cell, into a lock, let's say, opens up the cell and allows the sugar to go into the cells. That's how insulin works. If you're insulin resistant, the cells are not, the key and the lock are not lining up properly. The cells aren't able to open up and let the sugar in. Now, a couple of things can cause insulin resistance. Number one, bad fats. if you're eating these vegetable oils, corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, cottonseed, rapini, that's canola oil, these are bad because they clog up the keyhole, and so insulin can't get into the key and open it up. It's rapeseed, not rapini. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. So the keyhole gets clogged up. This insulin can't get into the cell, open up the cell. We got a problem. Or you eat so much sugar that you're producing so much insulin that the cells say, listen, I can't keep opening up and let more sugar in. It's going to gunk up the works. And so the cells say, I can't let you open me up anymore, Key. I got too much sugar already, and then you become insulin resistant as well. Now, it takes some time to reboot those cells. Let's assume I eat so much sugar I become insulin resistant, type 2 diabetes. I can't just stop eating sugar one day and the cells go, all right, we're cool. The cells have to go, all right, let's work this thing out. I'm not sure I trust you anymore. Again, this is very simply put. And if it happens in the brain, it's called type 3 diabetes because now the brain is not opening up the cells and letting sugar in, and that becomes a problem as well. So we all are affected by everything we eat by sugar. If you're on a ketogenic diet, you're eating absolutely no sugar whatsoever, you eat nothing but meat, well, the body then says, I still need sugar. That's how important sugar is. So the body converts the high protein through a process called gluconeogenesis into sugar. So the argument for the high protein diet is, well, the body just makes its own sugar. You don't need any from the outside. My argument is the body needs sugar so badly, it's willing to convert something else into sugar. That's how important it is. Glucose. When I say sugar, I'm meaning glucose. So we have to be able to stabilize this because it's so prevalent in our society. 90 to 95% of all the cases in adults are type 2 diabetes. 2001, last time I found a study, essentially 400,000 death certificates had diabetes as the cause of death. Now, the sad part about that is type 1 is tough to manage. I've worked with a lot of type 1 diabetics, my buddy Tony. Type 2 is, in most cases, ridiculously easy to manage. And yet, people aren't willing to take the steps to manage it. And 400,000 of those people, give or take a few, died perhaps unnecessarily because they may not have taken the steps they need to manage that. Now, the same steps a diabetic takes, you need to take because that sugar is affecting you every single day. And it can cause complications, cardiovascular issues, kidney issues, a vision problem, brain damage. It costs the United States about $413 billion a year. And the sad part about this whole statement is most of it is manageable. You can manage it. And you need to manage your sugar every single day, not only for peak performance, but for optimum health. So some studies, epidemiological evidence linking plant-based diets to reduce diabetes. This is Journal of the American Medical Association. Individuals with the highest adherence to plant-based diets, the people who ate the most, who did the best, had a 23% lower risk of getting diabetes. So right there. Now, plant-based is, in a perfect world, you're avoiding processed foods. So you can do cookies that are vegan, but we wouldn't consider it plant-based because it's a lot of processed food and junk food. So right away, we can knock off 25% of that $413 billion just by eating a plant-based diet. That's about $100 billion a year, more than $100 billion a year we could save simply by eating the foods that are also going to help prevent obesity, Alzheimer's, cancer, all the big diseases. Now, years ago, 1800s or so, we died of acute problems. We had infections, we fell, we broke our backs, whatever, and we died. That was the number one cause of death. Now our number one cause of death is chronic illness, which is so easy to maintain or manage in most cases. But there's something that happens. You have to take control. You have to take responsibility for managing chronic disease. And it breaks my heart. I'm really in a tough case, a tough situation here. I've been in practice 40 years. I love working with patients. I get so excited working with you, my patients, my listeners. I get a thrill. After 40 years, every day gets better and better. But then I meet people. I had 2 patients back-to-back just last week, and they both were smokers. And I said, write down everything you eat. Let's see what you're doing. I thought smoking was bad, right? And the one person, unfortunately, had such a horrible diet: fast foods, diet drinks, diet energy drinks, almost no fiber, almost no fruits and vegetables, and maybe a tomato on a hamburger. And I thought, wow, you of everyone who smokes needs to have the best diet. But here's the catch-22. If you have a good diet, chances are you're not going to be an addict. Because addiction, whether it's smoking or drugs or gambling or whatever it is, the brain needs an outside stimulus. It's not getting enough internal stimulus. And so if you're eating the right food, you're giving the brain the nutrients that it needs, and it doesn't need that outside boost, that outside jump. And so if you're eating a good diet, you're less likely to be an addict. If you're an addict, you're probably eating a bad diet, what makes the addiction worse. Okay? Elvis Presley said it, I'm caught in a trap. And that's exactly what's happening. When you're an addict, you usually eat a bad diet. When you eat a bad diet, you're more likely to be an addict. I have a friend of mine who's an alcoholic. And it breaks my heart. And he tries. He takes a bunch of supplements. And he told me the other day, he said, I went to the doctor. I said, these are the supplements I take. She goes, how often do you drink? He said, well, pretty much every day. How much? 3, 4, 5 drinks a day. And he said, the doctor looked at me and she said, why are you taking a supplement? You're wasting your time. And I get it. You know, the supplement's are good, but it's not solving the problem. So there's tons of studies out there. One study here, clinical trials demonstrating improved glycemic control and weight management with a plant-based diet. The skinnier you are, the less likely to have diabetes. Now, if you're really bad diabetic, you can become really skinny because you're not utilizing sugar. But again, plant-based diets, A1C and lipid profiles, systematic review, effectiveness of plant-based diets, promising among individuals with type 2 diabetes. This was in PubMed. Mechanisms of practical consideration for diabetes management, PubMed again. Plant-based diets rich in high fiber, antioxidants, and phytonutrients contribute to improved insulin sensitivity. So I'm just throwing these things out at you because basically what it's saying is clinical trials, epidemiological studies, the role of plant-based diet and prevention and management of type 2 diabetes cannot be ignored. It's the way to eat to manage blood sugar. And it also has a lot of fiber because fiber wraps around the sugar and carries it through your colon and cleans out junk. I just read an article that vegetarians or vegans have 5 times less likelihood of having twins than people who eat dairy products. Now, what does that have to do with diabetes? The fiber cleans out the excess estrogen in the colon. If you're eating animal products, dairy especially, loaded with estrogen, raises your estrogen levels, raises your hormone levels, throws your hormone levels out of whack, and can cause you to ovulate multiple eggs. That's how vital and how sensitive the digestive system and the nervous system is, and the endocrine system, which is your hormones. So every time you eat something, every time you exercise or don't exercise, you're affecting every one of the trillions of cells in your body. And then you can decide, is it worth eating? Is it worth drinking? Is it worth smoking? Is it worth taking the supplement? Is it worth eating the fiber? You decide what's worth it. The answer is yes. The more fiber and plants you eat, the better nutrition you're going to have. It's just that simple. People argue, I ate nothing but eggs and meat and it cured my diabetes. It did. You're absolutely right. Because you didn't have sugar in your body. But the long-term side effects outweigh the benefits in most cases. What if we got all the benefits, none of the downside? It's pretty simple. Eating more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So the average American spends about 12.4 years of their lives, right? 80 years, 77 years, I think now. The average life expectancy. 12 years of that battling chronic diseases, medications, hospital surgeries. Life expectancy goes up and down. It's about 76.4 in 2021, went up to 77.5, 78 in 2023. But the issue isn't this. The issue isn't if you live longer or not. The issue is the quality of those years. What are you doing to your body? Longevity without health is horrible. My mother, toward the end of her life, said to me, broke me down, cried like a baby. She said, I'm okay if I die. I'm tired of suffering. And I said, but Mom, we can do this, we can do this. But Mom didn't have the best diet her whole life. Absolutely the exact opposite of that. And toward the end of her life, she finally started buying what I was selling, so to speak. And she said, you were right. Joseph, she called me. She said, Joseph, you were right. I understand what you said all these years, but she loved cake. Cookies, cake, sugars. She couldn't stop. She had the addiction. And I explained to her supplements and everything, but she had done so much damage to her body that unfortunately it was one of the things that led to her demise. And she said to me, she said, I regret not listening to you. I wish I had done what you said. And I was wrong and you were right. I don't want to be right. In that case, the last thing I wanted to be was right. But it happens. And it happens to all of us. And I see it with my friends, the diabetics, the alcoholics, the people that are overweight, the people that stop me in the streets and come to me at my age and say, you look 15 years younger than you are. What are you doing? Because I have, fill in the blank, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer. And every day, patients come in my office and say, Dr. Joe, what do I got to do? I waited too long sometimes. I don't want that to happen. So there's 3 things you have to have good health. And I'm going to go over the best foods and worst foods to eat. I'm going to get there. But there's 3 things you have to have in order to obtain and maintain good health. Not just blood sugar, but overall health. Brain function, physical activity, digestion, sexual function. You need to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. That's it. 3 things. If you have those 3 things, the risk of you having chronic disease drops exponentially. The risk of you being disabled drops exponentially. The cost of health care drops exponentially. 3 things. Healthy nervous system, healthy digestive system, and good nutrition. So with the nervous system, the brain controls everything. The brain sends messages along the nerves to every cell in the body. 2 things affect it, physical or chemical. Now, chemical is your diet, your supplements, your age. Physical, you have pinched nerves. If you have a pinched nerve, what's the most logical thing to do? Unpinch it, right? So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, sciatica, rib pain, it's bone out of place. In most cases, put the bone back in place. The other benefit of putting the bone back in place is arthritis, osteoarthritis, is mechanical. Bones are out of place, rubbing up against each other. What if we put the bones back in place? A, we unpinch the nerves in most cases, and B, we reduce or eliminate the risk of arthritis, and in some cases, reverse it ever so slightly, the arthritic condition. That's osteoarthritis. So why wouldn't you do that? So, for example, back pain. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. If you have back pain, get it fixed. I don't know how to make it any easier for you. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive. If you want to make an appointment to come see us for your nervous system, for your digestive system, for your diet, normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that for you, my listeners, because I want to find out what's going on to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Any one of those things is going to cost you more than $299. X-rays alone are more than that. Nutrition alone is more than that. I do that because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Is it with us? Is it with an orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon, psychiatrist, psychologist? I don't know. Let's start out the plan. We'll see. We accept almost every insurance, Medicare. We're on a VA referral list. I want to get to the cause of your healthcare problems. Car accidents. I teach doctors all over the world how to deal with car accidents. So if you're in a car accident, go to the teacher. Go to the one that the doctors go to. That's us. drjoe.com is the website, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. If we don't have an office near you, let me know. I'll try to find somebody near you who I think is of high quality. There's a lot of bad doctors out there. There's a lot of bad lawyers out there. I want to help get you to the right people that are going to get to the cause of your healthcare problem. If it's a car accident, protect you and not just look out for their own wallet. I hate it when lawyers screw over their clients, and it happens every single day. And doctors too. They don't do good work. So make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Stop suffering needlessly. Let's look at the nervous system, digestive system, and diet and find out what we need to do to fix it. So prescription use. Let's talk about this. 6.3 billion prescriptions, around that number, are written every single year. So what does that work out to? It's about 19 prescriptions per person, per adult. 49% of Americans use at least one prescription in the past 30 days, 25% about 3, and about 14% are taking 5 or more prescriptions every day. That's insane. Now, I'm not against drugs. If you need medications and drugs, absolutely take them. I've taken them. If I get a headache, I want to get rid of my headache. So what do? I'll take some some pills to help get rid of my pain. But then I want to find out why I had the headache. That's when I go to my chiropractors, when I go to my maybe a neurologist and say, all right, let's do an analysis and find out why I'm having headaches. Headaches are not normal. Pain is not normal. Digestive issues, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, it's not normal. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, not normal. And yet for some reason, we just accept it. If there's something going on, I want to find out why, and that's why I want to be your doctor. And when we're writing prescriptions, 3.6 billion prescriptions, that's a lot. Let's see if we can cut that in half. Wouldn't that be cool? Save you some money, too. And drugs, statins, hypertensive drugs, diabetes, they're temporary solutions. They don't fix the cause. Now, sometimes you need them. My friend Tony needs insulin. He will die if he does not have insulin. Medication is wonderful for him. High blood pressure, you can die if you don't get that blood pressure under control. But my concern is, can we get it under control without the drugs? It might be a supplement. We have a supplement I take every day called Dr. Joe's Nitric Oxide Support. It opens up the blood vessels. Had a guy call into my show the other day, and he said, Dr. Joe, I take 4 a day. Should I spread them out or take them all at once? I said, I take mine all at once because during the day I get busy and I forget. I said, but if you have high blood pressure, monitor your blood pressure. If it goes too low, you might want to go to your doctor and see if you can reduce your medication. He said, well, Dr. Joe, I did that already. I said, what do you mean you did that? He goes, yeah, I took your supplements. I managed it. I went to my doctor. My doctor took me off all the prescriptions. He said, it's amazing that your blood pressure naturally came down without drugs. Pretty cool. Maybe it's a neurological issue. Maybe you have a digestive issue, which is affecting what's called the parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. That's causing the blood pressure to rise. But high blood pressure is a warning. It's telling you something's wrong. Diabetes, a warning, telling you something's wrong. Don't ignore the symptoms. You can if you want to. It's up to you. 61 million Americans are living with some sort of disability. Many of those disabilities, if you get the nervous system working, digestive system working, the diet straightened out, are manageable. Some of them are, you can get rid of them altogether. Most disabilities are linked to chronic conditions. Many of these disabilities have presented through earlier interventions, focusing, wouldn't be there if we focused on metabolic health, if we focused on a healthy nervous system, we focused on a healthy digestive system. They're what we call modifiable risk factors. So many of you can fix the problems if you took control of your own health. So nervous system, digestive system, and diet. So let's talk about some of the foods. I'm going to go to break in just a second. I'll pick it up after the break. The best foods for managing diabetes. The clinical research. What does the research say is going to be the best foods? Because people say to me all the time, Dr. Joe, tell me what to eat and I'll eat it. It's just that simple. Some listen, some don't. But tell me what to do and I'll do it. But nobody ever told me what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do today. And this is not just for diabetes. This is for brain function. Stabilized blood sugar for brain function. Stabilized blood sugar for energy. Stabilized blood sugar for sexual function. For exercise, for muscle building. You have to have just the right amount of glucose going into the cells to make them work. Don't want to overdo it. You get too much insulin. And not underdo it, hypoglycemia. And then you can get brain fog and fatigue. It affects your mood swings. It affects your menstrual cycles. If you're women, it can affect sexual function. For men, it can cause clogged arteries, which can affect everything: brain, sex, heart, lungs, liver, spleen, kidneys. So what if there was a way to get to that Goldilocks zone? And the answer is there is. It's very easy. It's so simple. It's so inexpensive. It's less expensive than what you're doing right now. And imagine coming home from work and not being exhausted. Imagine coming home from work and wanting to play with your kids. Maybe have some romance with your partner. Maybe stay up and read a book and not fall asleep at 9 o'clock at night. Imagine how many hours we can add to your life. Maybe you want to work more, make more money. What would life be like if you were healthy? Think about that. Right now, think about your health issues. We all have health issues. What would life be like if you didn't have that health issue? What could you do? What could you get done? What would you enjoy if you were healthy? And the answer is probably a lot. And so we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about some of the best foods to eat. Oh, I got to go to break. Perfect timing, right? All right, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, if you're just tuning in. We're talking today about stabilizing blood sugar. The title of the show is Diabetes, the Best and Worst Foods, but there's a lot more to it than that. If you have any health questions, anytime, any question, go to my website, drjoe.com, and send it to me, drjoe.com. I get questions from you all day, every day. I'm happy to answer them for you. If you want a copy of today's show notes, because I'm not going to cover everything I need to, I never do, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and just say diabetes best food list. Diabetes best food list. and I will send you a copy to show notes, absolutely free. My gift to you, no charge. You can do with what you want. If you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every single day. And the podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And if you want a visual of the podcast, it's a YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Esposito. Folks, drjoe.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. Got about a third through the notes, so not bad. Questions for me, John?
Even organic foods often have pesticides. Do you know of any nutritious foods that are completely organic?
If it says organic on it, it should be organic. Now, can I verify that? No. But the best bet is going to be buy organic. I do. That's the best bet of getting organic. Or you grow it yourself. That's the only way I can prove to you that it's organic is if you grew it yourself. But there are certifications, good companies. You can usually trust them. I choose to trust the organic label. So, nope. What else?
Most restaurants have salt and pepper shakers. I know to avoid the salt, but is the pepper generally okay?
It's hard to say because they may be cutting it with something that there may be rat feces in there. If you can do organic pepper, that's going to be your best choice. I don't usually like those seasonings, so I don't know what's in them. So I don't use the ones on the table. So what else?
Should I take aspirin regularly for good heart health?
No. How about you just eat a good diet for good heart health? Okay. Oh, back to the salt again. I dated a girl for a long time, and she would carry air-dried sea salt with her. And that's something you could do, too. A little bag, a little packet, and just add her own. So, no, taking an aspirin will help thin your blood, but so will eating fruits and vegetables. So will taking things like nitric oxide will open up the blood vessels, not thin your blood, but increase circulation. Drinking more water will thin your blood. Taking things like Dr. Joe Super Greens and Essential Source can thin your blood. So I'd rather you do a whole dietary plan than just a shortcut, because that means if your blood is too thick, it's a diet issue, not an aspirin issue. You're not low on aspirin. I'm sorry. What else?
Is roasted corn on the cob a good choice?
If it's organic, it's okay, but make sure the corn is organic. Most corn in this country is not organic. So I try to avoid corn whenever I can. If I do eat it, it's organic only. So, what else?
Is vaping just as bad as smoking?
Yes. Vaping is just as bad as smoking. The research is very clear. It does different bad things to your body, but it's just as bad. So, yeah, stop the vaping, please. What else?
How do you get protein out of your urine?
My first thought is you want to extract the protein out of your urine. I was like, why would you want to take protein out of your urine? Now I understand what you're saying. It's usually kidney damage. So you got to be really careful. If you send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, I'll send you a show I did on kidney health. It could be trauma. Football players sometimes get, tackled or car accidents. Protein will be up. It could be you're on an extremely high protein diet, which I do not recommend. It's a silly thought to eat that high protein a diet. So it's usually a kidney issue. So things like super greens, essential source, plant-based proteins, those help the kidneys heal. Animal proteins tear up the kidneys. So I can give you the same amount of animal protein, it may cause kidney damage. Same amount of plant protein won't cause kidney damage. So protein in the urine is a sign that there's something wrong. And sometimes it's something as simple as dehydration. So it's a general question with a lot of different answers. I don't know. But try drinking more water and see if that helps. That might be a quick solution. Cut out your animal proteins. I would say those two things would be my first steps. And then super greens and essential source to help the healing. So what else?
That is all.
All right. Good job. Oh, John forgot to tell me. We have a big sale going on. We have Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic and Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. These are amazing for stabilizing blood sugar. Seasonal Tonic is if I haven't a cold coming on, I take this. I take Wellness Booster every day just to stabilize my immune system. 40% off. We've never had a sale this big. So I'm doing it because the cold and flu season is right around the corner, and I want you guys to be as healthy as you possibly can. So we have big bottles and little bottles. Go to the website. They're 40% off. That's crazy. I didn't want to do it, but John made me. So you can thank John for that. Yeah, thank you, John. But please, Seasonal Tonic Wellness Booster. Again, any health questions, just send it drjoe.com. All right, let's do part 2. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. If you just joined us, welcome. If you stayed with me, thank you. We're talking today about the best and worst foods for blood sugar. I want to say diabetes because that's the name of the disease, but all of us need blood sugar every day, brain function, sexual function, liver, spleen, kidneys, muscle, and we're destroying our cells when we spike our blood sugar. And it creates something called insulin resistance, which is linked, directly or indirectly, to every chronic disease known to man. Heart disease, diabetes, dementia. I said earlier in the show, years ago we died of acute injuries. Now we're dying of chronic injuries. Acute injuries are hard to deal with. If you have an infection, you don't have medication to deal with it, or you don't treat it right, you can die. That's how I'm not against medication. But chronic disease is usually, I hate to say this out loud, you caused it. You're the cause of most chronic diseases. And so we're talking about what to do about it. So let's talk about first the 10 best foods to stabilize blood sugar. Then we'll talk about the worst foods. And if we have time, we'll talk about the best supplements to stabilize blood sugar. So starting out, my favorites, green leafy vegetables. You should have a salad every day. I do. And there are places you can go. It's a place called Salata. I know it's in the Atlanta area. I cannot recommend them enough. Now, it's not ideal. They probably use seed oils and things like that. But for $11, $12, you get this huge salad you can make 2 meals out of easily. And I love it. It's a place that I can go out and socialize that I feel pretty safe. Are they using organic fruits and vegetables? No, they're not. But it's still better than a hamburger. So it helps. It's low in carbs. It's high in fiber. It's high in magnesium, which is absolutely necessary. It does over 300 different functions in your body. Antioxidants helps fight inflammation. I have macular degeneration. I was told I'd be blind by now, and my vision has actually gotten a little better in the past 10 years because of my diet, because of the supplements that I take, Super Greens, Essential Source, nitric oxide. If you send me an email, I'll send you the protocol that I use for me to help stabilize my macular degeneration. It got better. It got about 80% better, and now it's stable. So I still have it. It hasn't gotten worse. Everybody else gets worse. Mine didn't. I'm an enigma. I'm not an enigma. I just know I took care of myself. So for vision, for overall health, for blood sugar, you can do so many things with vegetables, smoothies, soups, saute them. One of my favorite things in the world is it's called a rapini, which is called broccoli rabe if you're Italian, and just sauteed with a little garlic and extra virgin organic olive oil. Absolutely one of my favorite foods in the world. Girl I dated for a long time, her parents were Italian. Her mother would be so happy to make me broccoli rabe because not a lot of Americans knew what it was. So I miss her. I miss her family too, actually, so because I miss all the food. But saute it up. You can throw it in your smoothie if you want to. Dr. Joe's Essential Source has dried fruits and vegetables in it. How easy is that? When I made Essential Source and Super Greens, those are at least the 2 supplements you should be taking. And by the way, you got to take them. Had a patient come in the other day and say, Dr. Joe, I have some Super Greens in my cabinet. Had it there for a year. Love the stuff. You don't love it because it wouldn't last for a year. It lasts for a month. I said, you got to take it. It doesn't work if it's in a container. So you can even throw spinach and kale if you want to in your smoothies. I don't like kale. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm a plant-based guy, and kale doesn't thrill me. Now, if you cook it up, baby kale, you put it in a soup or something like that, it's probably okay. But as far as in a salad, I'm just not digging it. Sorry. But green leafy vegetables, going through the foods now that are great for stabilizing blood sugar. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, legumes. Legumes come in a pod like beans or even peanuts are legumes, but don't eat peanuts. Fiber and protein. And the fiber slowly pushes the sugar through your colon. You get a slow release of energy. It helps blood sugar control. It supports gut health. It has prebiotics that feed the good bacteria in your colon. And it's so darn cheap. It is crazy cheap. I was at a Mexican restaurant with my friends last weekend, and I ordered just a bean dish. And the bean dish was like $16. And my friend, who he's very interested in restaurants, he said, you know what? He says, my dish, $18. He had like salmon or something like that. He goes, we're making maybe $1 or $2 on that. He says, your dish, almost all profit. They probably cost them $1 or $2. So even in restaurants, that's the lowest, usually the cheapest thing on the menu, and they're still making a higher profit percentage-wise. I don't care about that. I care that I get the cheapest thing on the menu. That's good for me. If they want to make a profit, good. That's capitalism. So chickpeas, you can make hummus. I make hummus about once a week. Take a can of organic chickpeas, about $1.50. I throw in some organic tahini, maybe $1, maybe 50 cents. I'll add some lemon juice, some extra virgin organic olive oil. If I want to get crazy, I'll add roasted peppers, olives, put it in my food processor, whip the heck out of it, some salt and pepper, and now I have an amazing meal for about $2. Now, you can do that with crackers, which I usually don't do. But one of my favorite things to do is you get romaine lettuce leaves, the big ones, and organic, of course. And you just lay the hummus in there like a boat almost, and you eat the lettuce with the hummus together. Spectacular. Filling. You feel light when you're done. You don't feel heavy like eating meats or dairy products. Why wouldn't you do that? My staff, there's a restaurant near one of my offices, and they order hummus a lot, and they make a really good hummus, I got to say. $5 for a little container. I said, you can make 5 times that amount for half the price. So now I got my staff making hummus. So chickpeas, add it to a salad if you want to. Black beans, refried beans. I've already gone home from work, tired, and I'll have some refried beans, organic, vegan, black refried beans, and I'll just take some tomatoes and onions and mix it in with there, maybe put some salsa on top of it, guacamole on top of it, and just eat it. I don't need chips. The chips are bad for you. And it's a meal. I'm full. I'm high in fiber. I'm cleaning out my bowels. My brain is working better. I'm giving my body nutrients. Cost $2, $3. So much cheaper than a steak. So much cheaper than a hamburger. And way cheaper than going out to dinner. I cook most of my meals at home, and I pack my lunch almost every day. In fact, just the other day, a group that we work with sent us a buffet lunch. I packed my lunch already. I thought, man, I missed a free meal. So there's so many foods you can eat. If you don't know what to eat, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and I'll send you a lecture that I gave called So What Can I Eat? It's absolutely free. And when you ask these things, I'll send it to you free. Avocados are great. They're loaded with healthy fats. They improve insulin sensitivity. I was telling a story of my friend Tony, who's a type 1 diabetic, and his blood sugar went through the ceiling. We were at a Mexican restaurant, and he couldn't even speak. He was like, well, he could speak. He was dopey. He said, I need guacamole now. Brought him guacamole. He ate it with a fork. Stabilized his blood sugar. So avocados are great. Now, don't eat too many because you'll gain weight. I get fat if I eat too many avocados, but they're amazing. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, they're cruciferous vegetables. They're high in something called sulforaphane. It's a big word. That's a compound that reduces blood sugar and helps the liver detoxify. It also has diindolylmethane in it, which prevents testosterone from converting into estrogen, which keeps our testosterone levels higher, which gives us more muscle mass, which helps lower our blood sugar. Why wouldn't you do that? Roast them, steam them, olive oil, lemon juice. I'll boil up Brussels sprouts and just eat them plain. So cruciferous vegetables, they rock. Fun note, cruciferous vegetables, the reason they're called cruciferous is when the flower forms, it's in the shape of a crucifix. Thus the name cruciferous. Useless information. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Raspberries are superfoods. Low sugar, high fiber, stabilized blood sugar. I will buy bags of frozen berries, and I'll mix it in the morning because everybody should be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you're not doing that, you need to be doing that. They're on the website, drjoe.com. They're in the store section. They're 2 powders. Essential Source is a multivitamin, prebiotic, probiotics, and digestive enzymes. Super Greens, chlorella and spirulina to detoxify the liver. Wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa grass has what we call micronutrients in it. I take a scoop of each. I put it in my little blender thing, whatever it is, and then I'll add a little bit of coconut milk, almond milk, whatever on sale is what I use. And then I'll add berries to it. Then I'll add vitamin D to it. And I'll add creatine. Creatine is great, especially as you get older, to help maintain muscle mass and brain function. And creatine is so inexpensive. We have it on the website, drjoe.com. So my smoothie in the morning, Super Green Essential Source, creatine, vitamin D3 with K2. Couple of berries, whip it up, first thing in the morning. Tastes great. And boy, let me tell you, it's wonderful. In fact, back to my friend Tony, he was staying with me, and in the morning I made him one. And he drank it. He says, he called me Espo. Everybody called me Espo. Espo, I felt so good when I drank that, man. What was in that? And he knows nutrition, too. He goes, man, I tell you what, most mornings I'm struggling. I felt great when I did that. Most people tell me they feel great when they do that. So we're talking about the best foods to manage blood sugar. Nuts and seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, almonds, not peanuts. Peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids, and that can raise the inflammation and increase your risk of insulin resistance. So a couple of handfuls of nuts. In my car right now, if you went into my car and you opened my glove compartment, you would see a bag of walnuts. Why? Because if I'm driving around and my blood sugar starts to get low and I start getting a little cranky or I start getting a little weak, I'll take a couple of handfuls of walnuts. Of all the nuts, walnuts are the best, but they're all good. So it's fiber, stabilizes blood sugar. I eat them plain, mix them in a smoothie. I don't care. Nut butters, not peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, filbert butter, all are wonderful. I've had walnut butter too. It's not that good, to be honest with you. Sweet potatoes are better than white potatoes because they have a lower what's called glycemic index. So they're going to spike your blood sugar less. And they're loaded with antioxidants. You can bake them. And if you want to do an extra bonus, add a little what we call Ceylon, Ceylon, or Ceylon cinnamon. And that kind of cinnamon stabilizes your blood sugar as well. So we have fiber to stabilize your blood sugar. We have cinnamon to stabilize your blood sugar. Vinegar, any type of vinegar, will stabilize blood sugar as well. So imagine if I had a sweet potato with cinnamon on top of it and I add a little vinegar on top of that, you got a triple whammy to help stabilize blood sugar and the fibers there. Then I have a salad to go with that. Or how about vinegar in my salad, sweet potato with cinnamon separate? Oh my gosh. An amazing blood sugar stabilizing meal. How about I have some beans and some guacamole? Amazing blood stabilizing sugar meal. And less expensive than anything you're doing right now. Mushrooms are great. You can eat them plain. You can saute them. They have mushroom drinks now, mushroom coffee. Wonderful. Thrilled. I've been talking about mushrooms for years. I'm so happy that it was right. Grains. Quinoa, farro, buckwheat, organic oats. High in fiber, stabilize the blood sugar. Stay away from wheat. Wheat has gluten in it, which causes inflammation in the body, which can mess with your blood sugar. But most of the wheat, unless it's organic, has been sprayed with something called glyphosate. And glyphosate kills off the good bacteria in your colon and affects your immune system, and it's toxic poison. You can die from it. But it's a little bit, so you don't die from it. Remember, poison is all about the dosage. So stay away from wheat. If you're going to do wheat, make sure it's sprouted organic wheat. But I'd rather you just do things like quinoa, buckwheat. Buckwheat doesn't have wheat in it, by the way. High in magnesium, protein, fiber. See how many foods there are? I'm not even close to being done. Citrus fruit. Vitamin C helps stabilize insulin resistance. So don't eat orange juice because that's just like drinking sugar water. Have the whole orange. Have the whole grapefruit. Have the whole lime, the lemon. Somebody called into my show the other day. Says, Doc, I love limes and lemons. I said, good. Eat them every day. He said, really? I said, yeah, they're great. Get organic. You can eat the peel, too, if you want to. Really? Yeah. So citrus fruit is great. So things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are also very good for supporting your body nutrients, giving you the nutrients that your brain needs and your body needs, and stabilizing blood sugar. So I take Super Greens and Essential Source every morning. You should, too. And one of the many things it does, it makes me feel full. So if I have Super Greens Essential Source and my other supplements, vitamin D, I take B-complex, omega-3 fatty acids, I take nitric oxide. I take about 10 supplements a day. I'm good. And maybe have some fruit. I'm good until about 10, 11 o'clock. Now, sometimes I'll eat my lunch at 11 o'clock if I have something to do, like at 1 o'clock or something. And then I may have a little snack at 3 o'clock again, and sometimes that's it for the day. You don't need more food. You need better food. That's an important statement. You don't need more food. You need better food. So in order to stabilize and get your body healthy, we talked about this earlier, you need three things: a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. So there's tons of food you can eat, and the best part is it's usually the least expensive thing. But if you have nervous system issues, it could be affected by your diet, but it can be affected physically as well. You can have a pinched nerve. You can have a muscle spasm. And that's going to affect the nerves. Now, a nerve is like a garden hose, real simply put. If I step on my garden hose, the water doesn't come out properly. Same thing with a nerve. Again, it's a very simplified explanation. But if I pinch a nerve, that nerve isn't going to transmit messages from the brain to the body at its optimum level. So you think of pinched nerves, you probably think about pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, yeah. But you also want to think about the 90% of the nerves that don't feel pain. Every day when I say that to patients, I go, I never knew that. I had a neurologist friend of mine. He said, I never thought about it like that, Joe. You're right. That's an interesting twist. I said, yeah, 90. He goes, I know you're right. He says, I never just put it in those words before. So 90% of the nerves don't feel pain. So you can have pinched nerves and not know it. So if you want to become a patient in our office, and by the way, you need to, we're going to check the nervous system. We're going to check the digestive system. We're going to look at your diet. Let's put together a protocol to get you well and keep you well. Years ago, I remember somebody saying, how do you be successful in any business? Offer something that nobody else offers. And that's what we do. I don't know anybody who checks the nervous system, digestive system, and the diet all together. And that's the protocol you need. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Normally, the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. And we'll accept insurance. We accept almost all insurances. Now, for the first visit, my staff will explain how that works, but we will bill your insurance for you. You pay your copays. That first visit's a little special. But go ahead, make an appointment, stop suffering needlessly. If you're a member of the VA, if the VA refers you to us, the VA usually pays for all the visits. If you're in a car accident, don't wait. I had 2 patients last week. I was so angry. They got in an accident and they said, well, I got hit by a young kid. I don't want to sue them. You're not suing them. The insurance company covers them. That's why legally you have to have insurance. You're not suing the person. Now, you may have to if they don't have insurance. I don't think I've ever sued anyone, ever had a patient sue a person ever in 40 years. So make sure you don't go to a scam doctor and a scam lawyer. And I'm loving these commercials I'm hearing now. If you get a call from a doctor or a lawyer, it's illegal. No one will ever call you to make an appointment. You need to call us, drjoe.com. And if we don't have a doctor near you, I'll try to find you somebody near you. I know the show goes all over the world. So we're in the Atlanta area, by the way. So drjoe.com. Stop suffering needlessly. So let's whip through the worst foods for sugar handling. I don't think you're going to be too surprised. Soda, fruit punch, sweet tea, sugar. Pastries and donuts. Not only are they loaded with sugar, they're loaded with refined oils, white flour. So bad for you. Sugary breakfast cereals, even the ones that say healthy on them, no, they're not. They're going to spike your blood sugar. French fries, they're high, they're like eating sugar, but when you fry them, you create something called acrylamides, and acrylamides are linked to cancer. It's a crunchy part of the French fry, crunchy part of baked goods. Stay away from that. I love crunchy potatoes. I love French fries. But if you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. If you knew what I knew about food, you wouldn't eat these foods. You wouldn't even be tempted to eat these foods because education is everything. I'm Italian. People say, Dr. Joe, you're Italian. How do you not eat pizza? You can do a gluten-free pizza, but it's still going to spike your blood sugar. Now, I want you to think of these things as a recreational drug. If you do it ever so seldom, it's probably not that big a deal. And if you do it with a salad, if you do it with some beans or some lentils or some split peas, some high-fiber food, it's probably going to be a lot better. So I don't want to be all or nothing. I wish you would. But, bagels, white bread, candy, white rice. If you're going to make rice or any type of grain, you want to make a resistant starch. What you do is you cook it, and with rice, you want to use double the amount of water because there's arsenic in the rice, all rice. Boil it until the rice is soft and edible. Pour off the water. You wash away most of the arsenic. Take that rice, put it in the refrigerator, or that potato, or that bread, freeze the bread. Eat it the next day, you're going to absorb about 40% less sugar. I just created resistant starch for you. I just saved your life. Fruit juices, fried chickens, ice cream, pretzels, white bread, fast foods, energy bars, meal replacements, all junk. Now, I'm not going to cover everything I need to today. I'm looking at the time. I only have a few more minutes. If you want a copy of today's show notes, just send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. I will send you this absolutely free. It's my gift to you. So what are you going to do? Go to drjoe.com, drjoe.com, send me an email, and you're going to say, Diabetes Best Food List. Diabetes Best Food List. I send it to you. It's free. What you do, it is up to you. Now, supplements. Let's talk about supplements in the last few seconds here. Magnesium is so important. You can get that from pumpkin seeds, spinach, black beans, almonds, avocados. Again, the same things we've been talking about. Fiber, where do you get it from? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Omega-3 fatty acids, that I supplement with. I take Dr. Joe's omega-3 fatty acids every day. You should too, because they're essential fatty acids. You need them, essential for brain function and health. I take a supplement. I had my test done about 4 months ago. I was on the low end of normal. And I supplement every day. If you're not supplementing, chances are you're very low in omega-3 fatty acids, and that can really adversely affect your blood sugar, inflammation, brain function, and even the aging process. Chromium is real important. Where do you get it from? Green beans, romaine lettuce, broccoli. There's a pattern here, folks. Eat your fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. The chances of diabetes drops dramatically. The chance of blood sugar issues drop dramatically. Chance of Alzheimer's, cancer, high blood pressure, they all drop dramatically. So why wouldn't you do it? You have to eat anyway. You might as well eat good food. And that's what I want you to think about. Is this the best food for me? Is this the best choice I can make? If the answer is no, make a better choice. Even at a restaurant. It may not be the ideal food, but you're looking for better food. Alpha lipoic acid, that's an antioxidant. You find it where? Spinach, broccoli, tomatoes, Brussels sprouts. Again, same thing. Zinc, this is so important for your immune system. Men, for prostate health. Most of us are deficient in zinc, and you can get it from things like pumpkin seeds, cashews, chickpeas, again, hummus. I have a bag of sprouted pumpkin seeds in my desk at my office right now. And when I get a little hungry, instead of having a cookie or a cake or a donut, I'll open up my drawer, and I got it at Costco, really inexpensive. I don't know how much it was. It's lasted me for weeks. Take 2 or 3 handfuls. Eat the pumpkin seeds. Great, especially with cold and flu season. Gives you the zinc for the immune system. So easy, so cheap, so inexpensive, and all of these help stabilize your blood sugar. Vitamin D3, most of us are deficient in vitamin D3. Vitamin D3, I also want to make sure it has vitamin K2 with it. Because vitamin D3 does a lot of things for the immune system. It helps stabilize blood sugar. It helps the brain work better. But one of the things it does, it absorbs calcium from your food and brings it into your blood system. Vitamin K2 takes it from the blood system, brings it into the bones. I had a patient the other day, chronic smoker, used a lot of alcohol, horrible, horrible diet. And she said, well, I already take vitamin D. I said, D1 or D2? She said, D2. I take it every Sunday. It's 50,000 international units. My doctor prescribed it. I said, good, but you need vitamin K2 with that. I said, I'd rather you do vitamin D3. So vitamin D2 has to be converted into vitamin D3. I'd rather you do vitamin D3 every day, 10,000 international units, instead of 50,000 all at once. You can only absorb so much of anything, even water. Oh, well, my doctor didn't tell me that. Nothing against the doctor. But most healthcare providers, most people are not trained in biochemistry and nutrition. I'm not trained in surgery. One of my coworkers at the radio station next week is having a hip replacement. He said, hey, doc, can you do this? I don't know how to do surgery. You need to go to an orthopedic surgeon. But what I can do is get you healthy enough going into the surgery and get you healthy after the surgery. And that's why so many surgeons send their patients to us. Not expecting us to do surgery, expecting to get the patient healthy enough so they can do the surgery. I have modules. If you ask me for it, I can even send it to you. It's a module on high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, and smoking. And it's an interactive class. You take the class. I recommend supplements with it as well. And a lot of doctors, hospitals, insurance companies use these things to help their patients. So there's so much information out there. But I take Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. We talked about cinnamon already. Cinnamon, start adding it to your food. It stabilizes your blood sugar. Protein is great. So if you're going to eat something sweet or sugary, you want to have a protein with it. Now, when I say a protein, not a steak, you want to have beans, nuts, seeds. That's the best. I got a lot more to cover. I'm not going to get to it. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. It says, ask a question. On the bottom, a little bot pops up, says, hey, want to chat. On the bottom of the page, it says, contact us. All of them come to me directly. I will answer them personally. It may take me a few minutes. Had somebody get mad at me. It was 20 minutes. He sent me a question. Where are you? Why are you not answering my question? I have a job to do. Answering questions is just one of them. So be polite, and I'll be polite to you. If you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. Our podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And you should subscribe to that and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Esposito. But all the social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk soon. All right. I have no idea. So
They did say they were coming, though.
yes, they are. Any questions, John? Questions for me?
Are raspberries even better than blueberries?
They're both good. I can't say one is better than the other. That was one of my coworkers here. So we're in the studio and they get to walk by. So what else?
Are pecans a good choice?
Pecans are great. Walnuts are the best. Pecans are also great. Absolutely. Back in college, there was a pecan tree, or as we say in New Jersey, a pecan tree, when I went to graduate school. And in the fall, I'd go out and I'd get these big bags and I'd mail them to my father, and he just loved them. So when I think of pecans, I think about my father. So it's kind of nice. So, what else?
Do walnuts or broccoli have more fiber?
Well, the broccoli, because you're going to eat a lot more of it. Walnuts, you probably only want to eat about 1 or 2 handfuls because too much of it will get you fat. There's a lot of fat in walnuts too. So to get full, I would say broccoli would have a lot more fiber. So that would be the thing to do. They're both great though. Have them together, make a salad. Ha-ha. Add some vinegar, stabilize your blood sugar. What else?
Where can I get pumpkin seeds?
From pumpkin. Oh, no. Okay, so grocery stores carry it. I know Costco has the big bag of organic sprouted ones. That's what I got. Sprouts, I know, carries them in a bulk section, but everybody carries pumpkin seeds. So you can get them with the shell or without the shell. My uncle, Skater, he used to eat the shell, which I always thought was weird. But I get them without the shell because I'm lazy. So don't eat. You can eat the shell if you want to, but it can scratch your colon and stuff, so don't. So what else?
Can exercise clear out plaque in the arteries?
It's part of it. It's not going to clear it out all by itself. You can't outrun your fork. I know that sounds silly, but many people say, well, I exercise every day, so I'm going to have beer and wings, and I'm going to have cheese dip, and I'm going to have tortillas. No, you can't outrun your fork. 80% of your health is going to come from your diet, 20% from your exercise. So exercise can help, but you got to go, like we just talked about, plant-based diet. Number one thing to clean out the arteries. There's something called nattokinase. We don't carry it, but nattokinase is a supplement you can take to help clean out your arteries. But you got to stop putting the junk in. That's the key. As soon as you stop putting it in, the body starts cleaning it out. So that's going to be good. What else you got?
I've heard great things about high-intensity interval training. What are your thoughts?
It's great. It's wonderful. Don't hurt yourself, though. And as you get older, you may not be able to perform. It's called HIIT, H-I-I-T. Now, what you do is you go as fast as you can for, it depends on how you want to do it, 30 seconds. And then you go slow for 2 minutes. 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. Now, you can go to 1 minute and 2 minute breaks or 1 minute and 3 minute breaks, so it depends what works for you. But you'll be amazed how long 30 seconds take when you're going as hard as you can. Now, you can do it on a treadmill, you can do it running, you can do it weightlifting, you can do squats, whatever you want to do, maximum amount you can in 30 seconds and then rest for a couple of minutes. Not rest, but just slow down. So HIIT's wonderful, though. What else?
Is pumpkin pie made with stevia and organic pumpkins okay?
Yes. It's one of my favorite things in the world, as a matter of fact. So just be careful about the crust, but you can do like pumpkin, like custards or something like that. I love pumpkin pie. And made with stevia, that's how I make it. So organic pumpkin, too. What else?
That is all.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Please follow me on every social media. And if you like what you hear, you can always give us a Google review, too, but make sure it's nice. So, any questions, drjoe.com.